Hello and welcome back to the Coaches Show on SportsNetUSA.net. My name is Ryan Osborne, joined by Janae Price. And Janae, stop us if you've heard this before. Fullerton College with another victory on Saturday.
Yes, sir. They did have another victory. It was 45-14 against San Diego Mesa.
So another win for Fullerton. They stay undefeated, and we immediately go to Coach Garrett Campbell and how his offense performed. I'm here with Coach Campbell, and speaking of no pressure, Coach, you look at how your team played on Saturday. You start off maybe a little slow, and then in that second half, all of a sudden you find yourself up by more than 5 scores. How does your offense just kind of turn on that dynamic?
We started slow. Look, here's the bottom line. The bottom line, that was a weird game. The bottom line was that up until the last drive, we only had 36 plays in the whole game. Actually, I take that back. It was 33 plays in the whole game. But we were averaging, at the end of the game, we averaged 8.5 yards a play. So the bottom line, it was a weird game offensively because you've got 2 defensive touchdowns, a field goal return for a touchdown, and then a punt return for a touchdown. So right off the bat, you're taking away 4 possessions from us. So we never really felt like we were in our normal, typical flow. But our kids executed and they did it well. And it doesn't matter how the game goes. Your job as competitors is to go out and do your thing, and as a coach, just to call the plays that you feel are going to work. And it's funny because you end up with limited plays. Obviously, if you end up calling, I called a total of 51 plays, which our normal average is going to be right around 90 as far as plays that count in the box score. So I'll usually call about 100 or so. This was an interesting game, but I was happy for our kids. I thought they performed well and did a great job. But to answer your question, I don't know. We just go out and play ball.
And Coach, you talk about the play count. Last year, it was this feeling of, hey, if we can get to 90 every week, we're going to be just fine. Have you seen that mindset switch this year?
No, no, not at all. But what has switched, I guess, or what does change when you have different quarterbacks? At the end of the day, your quarterbacks really run the offense. As much as I call the plays and I try and go as fast as I can, ultimately it comes down to the quarterbacks. And we have different types of quarterbacks and how they analyze the game. Gresh is a kid that is going to be a little more analytical, and he wants to kind of know where you're at and anticipate what you're going to do, where some of the quarterbacks we've had in the past were just like, okay, that's where you are, here we go. And, it's totally up to him and how he runs it. And I think we're flexible enough as coaches to kind of, to roll with that. And I've had kids in the past. I've coached quarterbacks for a long, long time, and I've had kids on both sides of that spectrum. And they've all done pretty well. But you got to know how your quarterback thinks. And I think that's, as a play caller, that's one of the most important things is you got to know how they are seeing the game and how they are seeing the field. And that ultimately, that can impact your number of plays if you get a kid who takes just maybe 3 to 5 seconds longer to analyze pre-snap what the defense is doing. So,
thank you, Coach. Best of luck against El Camino.
Thank you very much. You weren't kidding. It was only 2 questions. That was good.
I'm Janae Price with SportsNetUSA.net. I'm here with Fullerton College's wide receiver coach, Coach James Griffin. Coach, over the past 3 years, your core receivers have been the best over the past 3 years. Mm-hmm. What do you owe your success? How do you do it?
Just a lot of hard work, and the guys, they come out and do it on their own. They do their workouts, and, we just been blessed with having great receivers here in the last couple of years.
Well, I'm sure they don't just walk to your doorstep. So what is it that you look for when you're out looking for wide receivers? What skills in particular are you looking for?
I always preach to my guys about having great hands, and speed is, that's God-given. So I always tell the guys, if we don't drop no balls, we don't have no problems around here. So so as long as you're catching balls, you're fine with me. So that's how it's been around here.
Well, I think that's a good philosophy. Mm-hmm. So what are your strengths, can you say, this year with your guys? What are they doing best out there? Is it them hands? Are they quick?
I told them before the season, probably July, this was going to be the best group of receivers that we ever had here because we got speed, we got size with Dennis and Sean, and we got Robert Downs and Xavier Green. Those guys, they played football for me last year. So those guys, they sort of my leaders in my group, and like I tell them every day, you come with it, the guys gonna follow you. So that's what we've been doing here, over the last couple of years, is bringing in good quality guys, who done played. Dennis played for Houston Baptist last year, so he caught 38 balls as a Division 1A player. So we just blessed to have these guys.
Well, is there any area that they can work on this year?
Let's get more touchdowns. That's what I want. But outside of that, they are good group of kids. They work hard together. They stay here after practice every day. They get it in. So I just tell them come prepared every week. Every week it's a new matchup, and we want to win our matchup.
Well, you've been doing a great job over the past 3 years. Again, congrats. Keep it up, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm joined by Xavion Steele, defensive back for Fullerton College. Xavion, you look at the defensive backs this season, you specifically. How have you progressed from week 1 to now?
You just attack every week, week by week, and strive to be the best.
You look at this last week, you're one of the defensive players in the entire state, best defensive players in the entire state. 2 interceptions, 1 taken to the house. When that first one goes up in the air, what's your thought process?
Ball hawk. It's now or never. And they were both taken back.
So when you have both of those and you see that, okay, you've got the ball, you're looking upfield, what's the first thing you're looking for?
Where my teammates are, who's blocking for me, and near sideline. That's really it.
When you do see your teammates blocking for you, is there a specific lane that you're looking for?
Near sideline. Just always near sideline. I remember my first pick I didn't go near sideline. I got chewed out. So that was the first thing I was thinking of when I caught the ball was near sideline.
Do you feel that your speed can also help you when you're going down that sideline?
For sure.
As a defensive back, what is your greatest attribute?
My greatest attribute, my speed, because a lot of DBs don't have speed. It's really all technique. So that was my first interview I preached, technique. Our coaches are really good at technique.
And when you talk about that technique versus speed, a lot of people say you can't teach speed. How did you learn it?
It's natural. God gave it to me. That's really it.
And being here,
The man above.
being here at Fullerton, what has been something that you already talked about how your coaches have been teaching you technique. What has been something that Coach Phil Austin has been working on with you specifically?
My feet work, my mental stage, and just my route concepts, everything pretty much. My whole game, he helped me step up my whole game.
You talk about footwork. You see a lot of defensive backs, whether it be on Saturdays or Sundays, they just go, you know what, I think I'm going to react to this football and kind of be on the back of my feet just a little bit. How do you make sure that that doesn't happen to you?
Practice how you play.
Thank you, Xavion. Good luck this Saturday.
Thank you.
So considering that this is the Coaches Show, we don't just do football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Without further ado, let's get out to the Hornets' Nest, where Mark is standing by with Coach Perry Webster, the head coach of Fullerton basketball.
Welcome to SportsNetUSA.net and the Coaches Show. I'm here with the head coach, Perry Webster, and of course, coming up right around the corner is the Walt Simon Memorial Tournament. And Perry, I just got one quick question. When we talk about Walt Simon, was Walt sort of the epitome of a community college basketball player, and does that still exist on this level?
Yeah, it still exists. There's still a lot of kids that are achieving dreams, through the community college level. And Walt meant a whole lot to Fullerton College. He meant a whole lot to Orange County basketball as a whole. In my playing career and my young coaching career, I got to meet Walt. I know his son very well, Miles, and we're excited to have the family out next week and to honor Walt. Everybody at Fullerton College feels strongly about Walt and his impact as a player and as a coach. Former coaches, Roger C., Billy Morris, Dieter Horton, Alan Cavness, all those guys have kind of mentioned Walt as an important Fullerton College figure. So I thought it was best for us to do something to honor him. I think it's going to be great for Fullerton College. I think it's going to be great for the community, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, what we're going to do with you is we're going to catch up with you during the tournament. We're going to have you on for 2 consecutive days, 3, 5. Can't do it at 7 o'clock in that Thursday night game.
Yep.
But we're going to have you on the air with us. We're going to talk a little more about Walt Simon and where you think this Fullerton College program is going this year at the Walt Simon Memorial Tournament.
All right, thank you. Looking forward to it, guys.
Head coach Perry Webster of your Fullerton College Hornets. Thanks, Perry.
Yep.
So we're being joined by Lance Coleman. Lance, you look at your season last year for IVC, first team all-conference, then you switch over to Fullerton College. What drew you to the Aura here?
Really, I liked how Fullerton played. When we played against them, I saw how together the team was, and it made me want to be a part of something. And I talked to the players over here, and they told me how much of a winning program it is, how hard they work. So it was just something I wanted to be a part of.
How does Coach Perry's coaching differ from other coaches you've had in the past?
Well, compared to most coaches, I would say he's very into it. He cares about every single play, every single game. He wants us to be as best as we could be, and it drives us to be the best players we could be.
Moving into year 2 in the Orange Empire Conference, how do you think this conference differs from others you've played against?
I would say that this conference is scouted very well. All the teams we play, they're going to know all our plays, and it's very competitive. All the coaches know each other. So, and we get, I would say, probably the top players in the state. So it's a good conference.
And when you talk about that, do you kind of get the feeling that the Orange Empire Conference gets those best players because SoCal is such a hotbed for basketball?
Yeah, it's a nice area. Everyone loves Orange County, and they're good coaches that have connections everywhere, so it's a place people want to be.
At the end of the season, what are you looking to take out of your experience at Fullerton?
The goal this year is to get scholarships and to win the state championship.
And you talk about that state championship. I mean, obviously, this is a team that just 2 years ago was the state runner-up. How do you look to improve on what they did last year?
Well, this year we're just coming in with a new group of guys who all have the same goal, and we have more talent than I feel most teams have, so we have a good chance.
You talk about that talent that your team has. How would you characterize your team?
Very well coached, together. We don't have any selfish players, and we all fit well together.
Would you also say that you're a more running team or physical?
I say that we can bring whatever we need to bring to the table.
Thank you, Lance. Good luck in the upcoming Walt Simon Memorial Classic.
Thank you.
I'm here with Vaj Rice. And Vaj, you look at your freshman season here at Fullerton. Mm-hmm. What do you take from that learning experience?
Just working hard. I just observed the things that I could do, as in like leadership-wise, as being here this is my 3rd year here now. So just seeing what I can do to help others learn quicker and to be able to help us get better as a team and build as one to get to deeper into playoffs and actually be able to win a championship, conference title, and a state title as well.
You talk about it being your 3rd year here. How do you think that first year where you weren't on the court playing, how do you think that helped you going into year 1?
It helped me a lot seeing the guys. It was also my first year was the year that they went to the state championship, actually, and just seeing them work hard, their work ethic, and to see what they have to go through. Like, everybody thinks that it's just easy. The route might be easy, like you just come and you go. It's really not that easy. Like, you really have to go through a lot of work. And to be a part of that, it was a lot, and I got to see, and it helped me. It helped me as I came up and prepared for my first year. I got to see what they did, and I also had the chance to connect with the players and still be friends with them. And like I talked to them here and there to just to ask for advice and have information that I need to be able to like keep going and pushing forward. So it was really good. It was really good learning experience, and I just want to build off of that as well, just to get better.
You look at one of the first early season tournaments you guys had last year, and one of the biggest games in that tournament was the fact that you guys, Fullerton, played San Diego City College. What was it like going against that team who, as you said, played Fullerton just the year before?
I mean, none of us played in that game, so it wasn't really like as emotional, but it was still like we did lose. Like, we're Fullerton, so like we take that to heart. And I mean, it was a good game. I mean, it's now a rivalry because like as of like the second tournament that when we played them, that it fueled everything up. Like, we did not want to lose. They did not want to lose. They have great guys on their team. We have great guys on our team, and I think we're better. And but yeah, it kind of did fuel our rivalry up. And but I mean, like I said, they're a good team. We're a better team, I feel like. So yeah.
You want to talk about rivalries. I mean, last year, actually the last couple years, you guys have actually taken it to Saddleback, something that hadn't happened in quite a while. Talk about that rivalry against Saddleback.
That Saddleback rivalry. It's very nice. I like having those rivalry games, but Saddleback is also a tough team to play against. They have great players at the post and point, and we have great players post, point, wings, and good guys coming off the bench as well. Saddleback is really good, but like I said, I feel like we're the better team all around. All around, post, bigs, coaching staff is really good. I feel like we can really do it. The only people that can really beat us is ourselves. We can only beat ourselves. So that's what I think about that.
When you look at your team this last year, there was a lot of emphasis on, we'll say, variety. You had Rodney Reedus as a big guy, yourself as well, and you also had pretty good wings with Jason Richardson as well. How do you characterize this year's team?
Shoot, man, I mean, we're really good, like, all the way around. Like, everybody has that. We have a great point guard in Zeke. We have Ronnie, as you said. We have me. We have Lance at the wing and Roderick. We're really good. Like, everybody has a part. Everybody has a part. Like, everybody you see on our team has a great part into this team and system. And without them, without one person, we probably won't go as far as we want to. So everybody, it's all in one. Everybody in here is together. So, I mean, last year it was the same thing. Like, Jason probably had more of a bigger role than everybody. But at the end of the day, it was everybody. Everybody was in this together.
Thank you, Vaj. Good luck in that Walt Simon Memorial Classic.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So right now I'm being joined by Jalen Moore. And Jalen, when you look at this upcoming Walt Simon Memorial Classic, how do you guys prepare for so many quality teams in such a short time?
I mean, every day it's a grind, really, for us. We come in here ready to practice, and so if we practice hard, we'll play hard. And so after a good day of practice, you know, we'll talk it over, and then we'll talk about every mistake that we've made. And then so the next day we'll come in and work on it. So every day we get better. So we should be fine for that.
When you talk about practicing hard, going into a season, of course, you don't really have that much film to kind of study and take a look at. How do you prepare for a team you haven't seen yet?
We'll go off basically on our coach's knowledge. You know, he'll give us his best insight on the other team that we're playing, and so we have a pretty good idea of what we're heading into. And then also we'll in practice we'll also guard, you know, different personnel. We'll guard we'll say the best player. We'll probably, you know, have a plan for him and for the shooters as well. So we should be fine in that department.
How do you kind of go from, okay, you got training camp, trying to practice, all of a sudden, boom, you're in a big tournament and you have to switch it into 3 games in 3-day gear?
That's going to be tough, you know, that's going to be tough because, you know, we do have to change our mindsets from going from practice to the games, but what does help is that we're coming in here every day and we're working hard, and so that prepares us for the games. And so practice is definitely a big, you know, something big that definitely helps us throughout the season because of how hard he works us every day.
When you look at yourself as a player, what do you bring to this Fullerton College team?
Me, I feel like I bring my IQ and as well as my shooting abilities. Last year I was considered one of the, you know, best shooters in the state of California, and so I'm really looking forward to you know, coming here and having another successful year, especially with these great group of guys that we're working with. And so I'm ready to go even further into the playoffs than I did last year, so it should be fun.
Being a shooter, you know, a lot of people now, they just think, oh, you're a shooter? I guess you're just trying to pull up from anywhere inside of half court. How is it different from a pure shooter's perspective?
I mean, it's different because, you know, you're going to, like, as soon as you get the ball in your hands, you're going to want to let it go. But not with this team. This team, we have many great weapons, and so I'm always, you know, looking to pass the ball. But if the time comes and I'm wide open, I'm going to let it go.
Thank you, Jay. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
And we welcome you back to a portion of the Coaches Show which normally is reserved as a recap here on the Coaches Show for SportsNetUSA.net. We usually tell you, hey, this is what happened to the 4 teams here on SportsNetUSA.net over the weekend, and here's what they're looking forward to this upcoming week. Well, we're going to kind of change things up at the aforementioned 4 teams being Fullerton College, East LA, Golden West, and LA Valley, as we mentioned all year long here on the Coaches Show. However, we're going to kind of switch things up on you since we were just at the Hornets' Nest at Fullerton College talking about basketball. let's stick with basketball. This upcoming week, there's going to be the 35th annual Fullerton College Basketball Classic. However, it will be the first year that it's in honor of Walt Simon as the Walt Simon Memorial Classic. It's going to be November the 8th through the 10th, right here on SportsNetUSA.net. Thursday and Friday, November the 8th and 9th. All 6 games will be here on SportsNetUSA.net. Just to show you how good the quality will be at this Walt Simon Memorial Classic, let's start off by telling you the 6 teams that will be in the running over the weekend. Fullerton, who last year was ranked number 12, got into the playoffs. West Hills, playoff team. Saddleback, who has been a perennial power here in Southern California. Pool number 2, it's Citrus, who was terrific in last year's 34th annual Fullerton College Basketball Classic. San Diego City, who just won the championship a couple years back, and San Diego Mesa, who has been in this Fullerton College Basketball Classic for the last 5 years. You look at how quickly things are going to ramp up during that Walt Simon Memorial Classic. Thursday, November the 8th, right here on SportsNetUSA.net at 3 p.m., Saddleback versus Citrus. That's going to be a big one. At 5 p.m., it's West Hills and San Diego City, who, as we mentioned, 2 years ago, they beat Fullerton in the state final. And then at 7 p.m., it'll be Fullerton College taking on San Diego Mesa. Fullerton trying to get back to that point where they can be at the state championship game once more. Then on Friday, November the 9th, it's going to be San Diego Mesa taking on West Hills, San Diego City, and Saddleback in what is going to be 2 heavy-hitting teams. Andy Grounds as the coach of Saddleback, San Diego City, who has Mitch Charlins, who has been terrific as a coach over the last 5 years for San Diego City, and then Fullerton taking on another Southern California power in Citrus. So November the 8th, November the 9th, all 6 of those games are going to be right here on SportsNetUSA.net. And speaking of Walt Simon, considering that this will be the Walt Simon Memorial Classic, he will be honored as part of the whole tournament. You look at Fullerton College and Walt Simon. He starred at Fullerton in 1964, 65, and 65-66. He led the team in scoring with 893 points in 64 and 65, and 815 the year after. Holds the state 2-year scoring record at 1,708 total points in 63 games, and was named State Player of the Year in both years. That's 64, 65, and 65, 66. He would go on to play for the University of Utah, where he was voted as the best defensive player in his conference in his senior year, and was drafted by the Seattle Sonics of the National Basketball Association and the Denver Rockets of the American Basketball Association, and had an absolute legacy that he left in Southern California as a coach at the high school level, junior college level, NCAA Division I and II level, and also in Europe as well. So Walt Simon is going to be honored on Thursday, November the 8th, right before the Fullerton and Mesa game. Representing Walt will be his son Miles, who was pretty good at Arizona in his own right. Miles Simon, the 1997 NCAA Final Four MVP, and helped his University of Arizona Wildcats win the national championship. And of course, he is also an assistant coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. So if you want to be able to kind of catch that ceremony that's coming up here on SportsNetUSA.net, tune in just before the Fullerton and Mesa game that will begin at 7 p.m. on Thursday night, and you'll be able to catch that ceremony right here on SportsNetUSA.net. So once again, we have the first annual Walt Simon Memorial Basketball Classic coming up here on SportsNetUSA.net. And when you look at Coach Perry Webster's squad, they are looking to get themselves back to glory, something that they weren't able to do last year, as they ended up dropping in the first round of the playoffs to Allen Hancock. You look at how Fullerton did this last year. They went 16-6. They averaged 73 points per game. They had a guy in Jason Richardson who had 18 points per game, which is terrific. One of the leading scorers in the entire state. The problem was they just weren't able to get past Allen Hancock in overtime, and they would lose it by 3 at 70-67, and Fullerton was bounced out in round number 1. Now they're looking to change that this upcoming season. So once again, if you want to see Fullerton tip off their season, watch the Walt Simon Memorial Classic tribute that's coming up, and just want to watch some quality community college basketball, tune in on November the 8th and 9th, Thursday and Friday here on SportsNetUSA.net. Now, we do want to kind of go back just for a second to those football teams that we were mentioning. We'll get to Fullerton in just a minute, but Golden West, East LA, and LA Valley, just to check in with how they did over the weekend. Golden West, well, they got close against Saddleback and ended up dropping their game by a final score of 54-38, and Golden West ends up dropping to 3-5. Golden West was in it right until about, we'll say, midway through the third quarter. That's when Saddleback pulled away with 10 in the third and 14 in the fourth, and they would clinch it by 2 scores. Then you keep going down the list, and you look at LA Valley, who has just been rolling over the last 4 weeks. They win again on Saturday. Their offense has been terrific over the last 4. They're now 6-3 as they win it 69-18 over Glendale. A team that Glendale that just hasn't really had that magical touch for a while. You look at LA Valley, through the first 4 quarters, they were scoring in double digits each and every quarter. 10 in the first, 17 in the second, 21 in the third, and 21 again in the fourth to take it by a final score of 69-18. Then you take a look at East LA College, who's been struggling over the last 3 weeks or so, and they're trying to get a rebound against Bakersfield. Well, unfortunately, it just didn't happen against the Renegades, as Bakersfield takes it to East LA, 58-17, the final in Bakersfield. Bakersfield with 14 in the first, 10 in the second, and they really pulled away in that third quarter with 4 touchdowns to their credit, 28 points for the Bakersfield Renegades, and they capped it off with 6 in the fourth. 58-17 was the final there, and East LA will drop it to Bakersfield. Now you look at this upcoming Saturday here on SportsNetUSA.net. We're going to have East LA College back in action, and they'll be taking on Pasadena City College at home. That game will start at 6 p.m. Once again, Saturday at 6. East LA taking on Pasadena City College. Then the Golden West Rustlers are going to be back on the air, and none other than the voices of Golden West College football, Rashawn Haylock, the franchise, and Andrew King, the color commentator for your Golden West Rustlers. They'll be on the air at 6 p.m. down in Southwestern Territory. That's right, the Golden West Rustlers are going to go all the way down to Southwestern College to take on the Southwestern Panthers, and they're trying to get back into that win column. As we mentioned just a little bit ago, they ended up losing to Saddleback, so they want a little bit of redemption for themselves and get back to at least a game under 500. Now, before we get to Fullerton College football, we quickly want to remind you that they will be playing at 6 p.m., but to get more on that, let's go back out to Hal Scherbeck Field.
So we want to thank everyone who has been here on the Coach's Show this week. Janae, you look at this Saturday. For Fullerton College, it's going to be a tough one. If they want to keep their undefeated record alive, they have to face El Camino.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. So far, El Camino is 6-2, and in conference, they're 3-0. So they're going strong. They're going hard. I think they're going to come out and fight, and I think it's going to be one that we should all tune in and check out.
And when you talk about tuning in and checking it out, you can do that right here on SportsNetUSA.net. 4 different teams play here on SportsNetUSA.net, Fullerton College being one of them. If you want to listen to Fullerton College football on Saturday, tune in to Corey Nalen, Mark Pavlovich, the 2 voices of Fullerton College football, bringing you the action from El Camino. For Janae Price, I'm Ryan Osborne. You've been watching The Coach's Show here on SportsNetUSA.net.